Coming up next on Access Framingham TV is Framingham Fan to Fan, where we discuss all things sports in Framingham. Today we're going to talk the Framingham Unified Team with its coach, Mike Tarlin. It's going to be up-tempo and energetic, so stay tuned. This is Framingham Fan to Fan on Access Framingham TV. Hi, I'm Dave Hornfisher, a Framingham sports fan, and I'm pleased to host this interview show whose purpose is to highlight those who are involved in Framingham sports at all levels. We hope through this show to increase awareness and ideally fan support and participation in these fun sporting events, and also to help use sports to achieve our station's goal of building community. Today I'm pleased to welcome Mike Tarlin, the coach of the Framingham Unified Team. Mike, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
And before anybody out there in Framingham TV land gets too confused, why don't you tell me, first of all, what the Framingham Unified Team is all about? That's a term I hadn't heard before.
So the Framingham Unified Team is a basketball team that has 10 students that are mainstream students, not special ed, and then there's 6 students that are special ed students, and it's a combination, and they play other teams in the Bay State League that have, you know, similar makeup. But really it's a chance for kids that might not be able to play an organized sport to play.
We have a little logo that that our sister station, Framingham Educational Channel, uses that shows a lot of the students at Framingham High. And I think the wonder of the message of why I wanted to show this and kind of the love is that there's a lot of kids at Framingham High School, in a big school, that might not get to play sports. And I get a sense that this program is kind of about that.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. The kids on the team run all levels. There's a couple of kids that we have that have never, seniors have never played an organized sport and are just great kids. So we're lucky to have them involved. And then we have 3 players on the varsity basketball team who have been so good as mentors and helping some of the students who, you know, are playing for their first year.
So how did you get involved in this? You were a basketball coach, I understand, here.
Yeah, I was the Flyers boys basketball coach from 1999 to 2011. I'm an English teacher in the building. This is my 20th year.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been there for a long time.
So you painted some walls, maybe.
Too long, some people might say. But I stepped down from the varsity job in 2011. And I really haven't been involved in sports in Framingham. I have coached in other spots. And Paul Spear, the AD, who's a friend of mine, was putting this together and just asked me, just said, hey, we need a coach. Would you be interested? And initially I was kind of nervous. Wasn't really sure what it entailed. I don't have a special ed background, but I thought it would be a fun, you know, I thought it would be something new and something to try.
And you have a team of coaches that work with you, or?
Yes.
Maybe you call them all coaches?
Yeah, yeah. We unbelievable staff. Mike Basanti, the assistant athletic director, who he kind of does everything. Sets up the gym. You know, today we were short of basketballs, got us a basketball. He steps on the floor and helps out. The kids ask for him. One of the vice principals, Mark Albright, has been unbelievable. We call him the best dressed coach in the unified basketball because he shows up right from work in a shirt and tie. Jim, he's a teacher in the special ed program, and Roxanne Copeland, another teacher, and then Natalia Maines, who really makes this program go. She's the head teacher of the special ed program. So we're all kind of, yeah, I think I do the basketball stuff, but everyone's sort of a coach.
Well, that sounds like as a village.
Yeah, definitely.
To use that overused phrase.
Yeah, no.
But let's talk a little bit about how the program's organized. You mentioned the composition of the team before. You've got some varsity basketball players that play on this, and
so it really was unclear to me at the beginning.
And there's some rules that they have to abide by during a game, right?
The rules are that partners, we call them, who aren't in the special ed program can't score more than 25% of the points. But really, and I've been so proud of our kids, they really get that they're there to facilitate. And they haven't scored, I think we've scored the basket in total. So that's one rule. Most
And they're
of the
there
towns have
to
been
kind
great.
of distribute the ball and
Yeah.
make sure everybody's involved and get people
kids
in
to right
position.
spots. Help kids out. And all of the kids are at different levels. So for some of the kids, just transitioning from offense to defense is a big deal, and finding the person that they're supposed to be guarding. Knowing the basket to shoot at. We've had just a wide variety, but of just, situations occur, and the kids have handled themselves with so much poise and dignity in class that it's, I think it's brought the school and the community together. We've had great crowds.
Really, yeah. And you play at the regular Framingham High School gym?
Yeah, we play in the front gym.
Yeah.
We've had 3 games at home, culminating with a triple overtime sudden death buzzer beater against Natick.
Oh, beating Natick is always good.
Yeah, I live in Natick too.
So they let you do this.
They let me do that. But that was awesome, and to see how excited our players were. We had a lot of special things happen that game. We had a player go coast to coast both ways, unprecedented. He went to the wrong basket. Luckily, he didn't make it. Got the rebound. Went to the right basket and did make it.
Yeah.
And the look of happiness on his face was just
awesome.
was cool. The crowd too was phenomenal. The crowd, after the first overtime, we wanted to just call it a draw, and the crowd started chanting, "One more minute, one more minute." And they've been great. When the Natick team scored, the partners, the kids who were not in special ed programs scored, the crowd was kind of mock cheering them in a good way. So. I was offering extra credit to my students to come to the games, and we had a nice crowd.
So some of the partners, as you call them, that play, the ones that aren't the varsity basketball players, some of them probably haven't played a lot of basketball in their life either, right?
Yeah, I have. There's 2, and again, just asking. Some of the students volunteered. For example, we have one player, Jason Abramson, whose brother Jack is in the program. And he just, it's really cool to see him out on the court with his brother. That's kind of a special thing. And then we have
makes for some great locker room talk at home. I bet.
I can only imagine the dinner talk. Then we have some kids who just volunteered. They wanted to get involved. And then we had, I went after or asked some kids, ranging from. We wanted a mix of female and male students, ranging from 3.
Oh, it's a co-ed team.
It's a co-ed team. Yep.
Oh, that's great.
So I have three of the females on the team. One of them is in the girls' program or the women's program at Framingham, and 2 of them I don't think have ever played basketball before. So they've been awesome. I think the basketball is secondary maybe to the experience of being on a team and being with kids that you might not get a chance to be around.
In any league, when you talk about people in sports, very often they'll talk more about they got more out of being part of a team than they did out of the fact that they won X or Y games.
It's funny you say that, because a lot of the kids that I've kept in touch with from when I coached the boys varsity programs weren't always the best players. A lot of times it was the kids that were role players or and they just seem to appreciate it a little bit more and understand how special it can be.
Speaking of teams that had great coaches, I just have to point out my haberdashery for this show, because usually I wear my Framingham Access TV hat, but all of a sudden, since about the 1st of November, this piece of hatware has become glued to my head, and I just can't seem to get it off. And so I'm gonna, but you being the coach here, you've got to be the Alex Cora of this bunch. And, talk a little bit about the locker room mentality that you've coached basketball before a game. Well, what's it like with these kids? And Alex had to blend Hispanics and players from all over the world onto his team. You've got some of the same challenges, I think.
Yeah, that's a good question. We actually don't.
I didn't warn you about that one.
No, it's okay. We actually don't go in a locker room. We kind of go into the corner of the gym, and something that we do is we grab hands and we circle up.
Well, that's your locker room.
And we just kind of convey that, we're a unit and we're together. And, really, there's 3 things we want out of the kids that we've talked about. And some of them are saying it to me now when I see them, which is great. We want them to have a positive experience. We want them to have fun. We want them to play as hard as they can play. you know, try their very best. And then we want them to be good teammates. We want them to be good to each other. We want them to be respectful. We want them to be respectful to the other team. And
except when you play native.
Yeah, but that's been, it's been, as I said before, it's been awesome to watch. And it's awesome to watch the kids go through the gamut of emotions. You know, we have some kids who get frustrated when we're losing. We have other kids who are just so happy to be involved in the game. But there's been a lot of funny stuff. Like, you know, I assumed when I told a person that it was time to sub in that he or she would go to the scorer's table and wait for a stop of play, but that wasn't the case. You know, as soon as I told somebody, he or she ran out. In Europe that goes, but not in the States. So there's things like that that kind of keep you out. But, you know, one thing that's been nice about this, and drawing on just personal experience, that when I was the Framingham boys coach, it was, as a varsity coach, I felt as if it was so competitive, and we wanted to be so competitive. And I think in hindsight, I got better as I got older, but sometimes I maybe didn't enjoy it as much as I could have during it, because I was so focused and intense. That this has been a little bit more special in that the competition is secondary to the experience. And I think that's a good lesson to keep things in perspective, that the experience in anything, in any sport, really, it should be special. And I think that a lot of these kids, the special ed students on the team and the partners, I think a lot of them will have left saying that this was a really positive experience.
Well, it sounds terrific, and it sounds like the kind of thing that's a great piece of the. You're considered. I see by your shirt that you're a part of the athletic department, and I think that's a great message. Now, Framingham's not the only town that does this. You have you play pretty much a Bay State League schedule. How many games do you play? And talk a little bit about some of who you play and.
So we've had 5 games so far. We played Needham at Needham, which was punctuated by no bus at the end. So we got to, on a warm, early October game, we got to hang out in Needham. But Mr. Spear, to his credit, was at the game, and he made sure we had a ride home. So we had Needham. Then we've had Westwood at Westwood, Natick, Newton South, and Newton North.
And you have more games coming up?
Yeah, we have a jamboree tomorrow. Which
this would be November 14th as we talk.
So if anyone's out there and wants to come, it's there's 8 teams, and they are coming all to Framingham tomorrow from 3 to 6. And I think every team plays 2 games. So
and
the
how
first
long is each game?
It's 50-minute running halves with a 5-minute halftime. Typically, the games are 20-minute running halves. So the games fly with a 5-minute, which is good. They go by fast. But tomorrow should be special. And we just found out, too, that the MIAA awarded us a sportsmanship award. So we're excited about that. I think that's a really good. I think that's a good sign for the first year.
That's probably somewhat attributable to the coach as well as the team. I was impressed when I asked you if you had any coaches. I thought you'd say, well, we have an assistant coach, we have a special ed expert or something. But my goodness, you rattled off 6 or 7 names, or maybe more than that even.
You know what? Honestly, the kids have been somewhat coaches too.
I was going to say that. I get that sense. Yeah, we have a few photos coming up of different situations in your game. I think the first one is a picture of the whole team. There they are. That's the whole bunch, right?
So that's a great moment. As you could see in the background, the Flyers had 37, and that was against Newton North. Newton North had 26. That was our first win.
Really?
And the kids were really, really happy. And just some things to point out. Next to me, on my right, is Natalia Maines, who without her, this program would not run. She's and she's in white. She's the lead teacher. She coordinates rides for the students afterwards. She knows the students. She's been unbelievable. And she's a special, I just got to know her. She's a special person. And then another cool thing you see is number 15 and number 33. I think it's 33 or 23, 30. You can't see. So that's Igor's number 15, and Chris. They're very tight. They're good friends. And I think one of the cool things you can see in that picture is they just have their arms around each other, which is really, really cool. Next to them in the glasses is Jack, number 5. And all the way in the end, next to Mr. Albright is...
He's the guy with the suit that you talked about.
Yeah, that's the vice principal.
Dressed.
And that's Zach with the blonde hair. Zach has an unbelievable memory. It's a really cool thing. And somewhere tucked in there is Rachel. Well, those are our 6.
Okay.
But I can't see Rachel right now. I don't know if somebody... I think number 35, Darcy, is blocking her.
Okay.
And if you look at the picture, the nice thing about it, I think, is it's so genuine how happy everybody is in that photo.
I think our next picture coming up is of the team getting ready to go on the court, or just coming off it, or
yeah, I don't think that's us.
That's that's another team.
That's another team. Yeah.
Really?
We don't have anybody with a beard just yet, but those guys look pretty athletic. So
is this the first year of the program?
This is the first year of the program.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next one, which is looks like a player introduction.
Yeah. So this is an intro. So you could tell we try and set up sort of 2 rows, and when they call out the starting 5, we want to make it as close to a varsity basketball game experience as possible. And you get them, slapping 5s, and you can see Zach. I think this might be Zach's first time through, because he looks like he's got a little bit of trepidation. He's not quite sure how to handle this. But at the end, what you can't see is somebody's waiting for him, and that role is Sam Whiting, and he gives him kind of a special, one of those cool sort of high 5 sequences.
So are there cheerleaders or any pep bands or anything at these games, or is that just still a working process?
They've come and support us, but I can't recall if they've actually been there cheering during the game. I want to say they have, and I hope I don't get this answer wrong, because they'll be really, really upset with me.
This looks like this looks like it's either the end of a good play or the end of.
So this is halftime. This is before the game at Westwood, and which was our second away game.
On this game.
Couple things about this game. Number one, just happy to find the gym. It was a complete maze getting to it. But we did all find it, and that's number 3 is Jack Murphy, who proclaims himself as a very good 2K video player, but also is a good varsity guard and shoots the ball real well, and he's been terrific. And you just see sort of the pregame huddle, and in the middle of that, next to 33, next to Chris, is Matt Fonseca, another varsity player. And he's one of our pump-up guys. He tries to get them jumping up and down. And, we want to get it excited. Unfortunately, Westwood did not have a great crowd. Another thing to point out, Mr. Albright, vice principal, showing up to an away game, which I think was really, really cool.
Yeah, and Westwood's not a short ride.
No.
So let's just talk about the kids and why they play. Is this something that you mentioned? I think they're in a separate class that many of the students are.
Yeah, 5 out of 6, I believe, are in an enclosed classroom, and Miss Maines runs that classroom. And I think it's a number. I think they play for all different reasons. I think for some of them, it's a great outlet. I mean, for everyone, it's an outlet. For me personally, just getting some exercise is a great way, especially after. I'm a teacher, especially after being
an English teacher all day.
Yeah, I'm grading all day. I'm sitting at a desk, so this gets me up and moving. It's always good to see kids in a different setting.
Do some of the kids have to be talked into playing, thinking, "Oh, I'm not good enough to be on a team," or does the program just kind of say, "This is why we're here"? And
I'm not sure, but I will say this: you can clearly see some kids, some of the players' confidence. Improving as the year went on. I think a few of them truly love basketball, and I think some of them just, they just want to be on a team. I like to think that they've grown. If they didn't come in really enjoying basketball, that they have maybe a newfound taste for it. I hope they keep playing.
Are they more likely to be at the high school varsity games now, or?
That would be a great. That's a great question. And one thing that we did. That was really, really cool before the Natick game was the athletic department made a banner for them. And at lunch, we went down with the banner. And again, Miss Maines set this up, so I can't take any credit. She went down and she had 2 kids at each lunch. Framingham has 4 lunches. So at each lunch there was, or 3 of the 4 lunches, there were 2 players from the team next to the banner. And kids would go up and wish them luck and sign the banner.
Oh, cool.
So it was awesome. So we have a picture, I think you might have it, but we have a picture of the banner with, literally hundreds of names signed on wishing them luck, and we had it behind our bench. It was a really cool moment.
So they've become basketball fans. Do you talk about the Celtics? Do they have opinions about Kyrie and the?
One of them loves Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the players, Igor, loves Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. So I think it started with watching the 80s classic Space Jam.
Okay.
Which I think is 80s classic. I might be dating myself. But he loves Michael Jordan. So I don't know if they love. That would be a good question to ask. I don't know if they watch the Celtics. That would be a really good question to ask.
As sports fans. And,
yeah.
Yeah. So do you have to raise any money for this, or have special events, or is this just kind of something that just happens?
We haven't. Paul has been unbelievable. Actually, a lot of people, like I know Dave Marockver, one of the officials, and another gentleman, Mr. Shapiro, they volunteered their time to officiate. Mr. Spear has thrown 2 pizza parties and gotten us pizza and hasn't charged us. The Abramsons made a cake. I want to say, or bought, maybe not made, but bought a cake. So I haven't had to pay anything, which is right up my alley.
Okay, yeah, there's no special athletic fee anymore to participate in sports at the school. So so that's good.
I've been out of this game so long in Framingham that when I was the boys coach, we ran a camp, a basketball camp, and that raised so much money for the program that we were able to help with uniforms. But I don't know that we've and I know the athletic department has given us uniforms to use and t-shirts.
You have your own unique uniforms, or are these?
I don't.
You don't know where they came from. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to plead ignorance.
So this is the first year you're finishing up. Lessons learned. Things that you're looking forward to doing next year, or does your season end with the jamboree?
Yeah. The jamboree is over tomorrow. I have to be honest, I think there was a lot of positives that came out of this.
Sounds like it.
I'd probably look at what we can do basketball-wise to help them. But I think I would ask a lot of the players what they think and evaluate what we can do better. I think the more that we get this team involved with the general I don't know if general population, but the majority of the students, because I know that a lot of our students and players they're in a room one day. A lot of their learning goes on in one room. So I don't know how much they get to see or get to know a lot of the students. And a couple of the positives I've seen are, we go on a Flyer News in the morning before a game.
I was going to ask about that.
And you just see the kids walking down the hall and everybody's giving them high fives and hey, good luck today, and knows their names. So maybe that most kids, part of the reason kids are on a team is to feel a sense of belonging. And I'm hoping that this is really, has really done that. But anything we can do to make all the kids feel like this is a positive experience is a good thing.
Well, you're just doing basketball this year. You mentioned before we talked on the show that some of the schools have a couple of sports or something. Is that something that might be?
I don't know. The only other sport I know of at the high school level, and this isn't to say that there aren't other sports or other high schools that do this, but I know like Natick High. I know I'm not supposed to mention Natick, but I know Natick High has a unified track program. Okay. So I know that there are track programs that have unified teams. I don't know if Framingham has it, and I don't.
Well, some of those teams require a lot more people too, right? Yeah. So the fact that you only have 5 or 6 people involved in this, is there an opportunity to extend this to some of the other special ed students at the school? Or? Yeah,
that's something I talked about with Miss Maines. We would love to. I think you're supposed to have kind of an equal ratio of students, of partners and special ed players. I don't know that we quite met that. We had 6. 6 kids were special ed and 10 were partners.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I hope I'm getting the terminology right. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible.
Okay, so you talked about the special moment, the triple overtime game. Any others that kind of are lasting in your memory from this first season?
I think one thing, and this is kind of strange, was I think the first game against Needham we lost in overtime, and I always kind of felt as a coach that things tend to even out. And one of our players was really upset afterwards. Oh, we lost, and just sort of.
Was it close?
It was, yeah, it was OT,
okay.
so
well,
it, was,
yeah.
it ended up being sudden death. And, you know, just being able to talk to these students and players about, you know, these are the lessons that you can take in sports and maybe translate to somewhere else. And, you know, a lot of that stuff I think it's spoken about. A lot of that stuff doesn't stick. But once in a while, something sticks, that idea that you might be able to pick yourself up, the idea that things don't always go right. And, you know, watching the kids a little disappointed at losing that first game, and then the excitement at winning an overtime game.
So these games are competitive. You mentioned 5 games, and 2 of them were overtime. And
yeah, some of them have been, and I think most of the kids or teams have the right idea.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
You know, we played Newton South, and they had a player that needed something to help him walk, needed a full assistance to help him walk. And to watch him, you know, so he could only play offense, and to watch him score was really a cool thing, whether it was against us or...
Sure, yeah.
So there's been a lot of special moments. We had one girl, Rachel, who made a basket the other day and put her hands up. We had one boy or one player, Jack, make a 3-point shot, banked it in. I don't know if he called the bank shot, but we're going to count it anyways. And just how he literally gave himself like a fist pump, and just how excited he was. And you know, seeing the partners get excited for the kids is really cool too. That's been one of the more gratifying things.
Well, I know FEC TV, the school station, does a great job of televising the football games. Maybe next year you could get them to cover
That's a
one
great,
of your
yeah,
games.
that'd be great.
That'd be great to show that on a weekend. It would be.
No, I think there's so many. You know, I read one. I'm not a big Twitter guy, shockingly, but I did read one thing on Framingham Athletics just about how the Unified Sports is bringing out not only the best in the players, but the community. The fans have been unbelievable. They've been into it. Yeah. And the gym has been packed a lot of the games.
Really? Yeah.
We got blown out in our home opener against Newton South, and the crowd stayed till the end. You know, they just got that there's kind of a bigger picture.
And then you came back and you've got 2 wins. You had an overtime loss. So maybe there's some basketball coaching going on here that the head coach doesn't even want to give himself credit for. So.
No, I doubt that.
Well,
you could probably find plenty of people that would say there's not a lot of coaching going on. But you know, regardless, I think the kids have been. To me, this has sort of embodied a lot of what's good about sports. And as a, you know, I've coached both my sons in t-ball. I've coached varsity boys. I've had so many coaching experiences, and this is one of the first times that I felt as though the winning or the score really doesn't matter.
Your kids come to the games?
They did. My wife and kids came to the last game.
Oh, that's terrific.
And, my kids were real young when I was the coach here, so they don't really remember me being the varsity coach. They're 16 and 14.
Well, that's a great message for them to hear and see what you're doing. Well, as I warned you before the show, the 28 minutes that we do this flies by, and I could talk a lot more about this and some of your other experiences, but thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
Coming on. This has been exciting. It's been very educational to me. I'm going to look for your games next year. I definitely want to get to one of them, and I want to encourage all our people watching Access Framingham TV and Framingham Fan to Fan to not only come back and watch us, but come and watch these guys play next year. You can tell this is a great experience for a sports fan. So thank you for watching, and watch us again. Good night.